Hi everyone, it's Jerry. I have an instructive chess miniature to share with you from the ongoing 2025 British Chess Championship. This was a round 3 game played on August 4th. On the white end, Grandmaster Michael Adams playing against International Master Jack Rudd. Okay, opening wise, what do we have? We're looking at an open Sicilian Najdorf. Let's see the setup for white. Bishop posted on d3, knight questioned, and it falls back to e2. b3 is also an option, but not nearly as popular as the move in the game. So where is this knight headed next? Let's see. Let's note the difference, key difference between these two posts. The knight now on g3 eyes a super sensitive square on f5, staying near the black king. Knight c6, knight d5, knight exchange, and from here the knight goes back home. Now if you go forward, this knight a bit on the stranded side after bishop f5, white's already ready to trap the knight. a5 is being called for there. It is better to fall back home. Now, we're 11 moves in, beyond the halfway point of this game. Let me throw this position to you as a pop quiz. How would you continue? Feel free to pause the video. All right, the exchange that occurred on d5, that knight exchange, influenced the structure significantly. We now stare at majorities for each side. Queen side for white, king side for black. Adams' next move is aimed at preventing black's majority from rolling. We have this preemptive strike, top move in this position, move in the game, f4. In a way, what is white saying? If you try to roll with the f-pawn, you don't have enough support for it. If f5 in this position, white will take on e5, and then f5 falls. So you can't get rolling so easily with f5. Black supports e5, c4, another pop quiz. What's your move? Feel free to pause the video. Okay, move 13, g6. This is a decisive error. Now we're going to see soon enough how Adams takes advantage of this. What move would you play here as white? Feel free to pause the video. Okay, the winning way is with f5. And we're going to see just how dangerous this pawn can be when it is dynamic, when it is in tension with g6, and has the option at any moment to capture on g6 and spring the rook to life. Now, let me just back up a couple and show you what would be better. What is better than g6? This is what the computer has its eye on. Capture on f4 and b5. Let's touch on each briefly to get a feel for what's going on. This one first. Now, let me just point out, capturing like this, if I'm playing as black, I'm not super thrilled about capturing on f4 because this bishop hasn't moved. And now it gets to make its very first move, and it's a developing move. It's recapturing. All right. On a positive note, there is a consistent follow-up for black. e5 is now opened up. The knight has access to it. Throws a punch. The bishop, pressure on a pawn. The evaluation here calls it about plus 0.3. With the move b6 holding up this undermining idea of e5. Do note this pawn is poisoned in this situation. We got that double attack, queen d3. Anyhow, this is one of the ways the computer wants to play it, rather than g6, take on f4, and the other one is b5. Knight pawn targeting a bishop pawn. This point, the b5 pawn cannot be captured twice because of the trick on b6, fork, winning the bishop. Now, with the move e takes f rather than b5, you are eliminating the f pawn. Is the f pawn, now that it is still alive, going to be a pest if it gets to f5 in this situation? The answer, no. If it's on f5 in this situation with the pawn still on home base, it is not dynamic. As long as you keep control over f6, things are under control. This file is not going to spring open. You have not created any gaps in your position as black. Let me show you how you can respond to this invasive pawn. The computer prefers black in this situation. So capture on c4 may follow. Bishop g5 is good in this situation. We actually see this move in the game, but with the pawn on g6, totally different scenario. Let's say knight e4 is played here, and we have a bishop exchange. Knight f6 is there. Things are under control on f6. Black is doing well here. This pawn is frozen. Has no options. Okay. Things are significantly different in this game. What we end up seeing in response to c4, g6. As mentioned, f5 is played here. I want to emphasize the importance of playing f5. If white makes one slow move, the position turns in black's favor. You can forget about playing for an advantage as white. So for instance, if you play bishop e3 here, bishop's not doing anything. Let me develop it. Well, now black gets to play f5, and this is very strong. Passed pawn nearby. Black takes over control of e4. This knight is very clumsy. If it doesn't have access to e4, what's its forward move? Doesn't have one. So we might describe, in short, f5 as a winning move and a necessary move. Otherwise, can shift entirely. Now, black's continuation from here. Bishop g5. Notice another detail here with f5. You're not allowing f5. You have time to pivot on e4. White's carving out a square on e4, ensuring that the knight will have access to this central post. Another detail, if we just examine this tension and question, okay, might there be a capture by black on f5? Might there be a capture by white on g6? White is in control. This is almost never going to be a good idea for black. If you capture on f5, f5 is a hole, and white has 3 pieces on that square, you're dead. You cannot allow this square to become a hole. So it's uncomfortable. There's weaknesses with g6, and these weaknesses can be taken advantage of. Follow up from here, bishop g5, knight e4, bishop exchange, the queen recaptures. The queen has an eye on h6. This is dangerous. This is lost. Next up, f6, queen h6, mate on g7 if need be, rook lift, maybe knight g5. Plenty of ways to do it. This one's broken. Now what's tried from here is f6. What else do you have? If you play knight f6, you chop on f6. And this pawn is live. You would see a follow-up capture and this double attack. Queen is hit, h7 is hit. This one's collapsing. Winning for white. Okay, knight f6 is not going to cut it. Also, this one here, that's a disaster as well. We could have a knight exchange. Thanks for the connected passed pawn. And you also have the queen entering, and next up f6, queen g7. If bishop takes pawn here, you take with the rook. So this is a disaster for black. We're going to be having mate soon. So you're kind of running out of tries here. There are no good moves for black. What's tried is f6, holding up a white pawn from being planted on f6. I guess there's one other move you can test out. I said it was a disaster to create a hole on f5, and it is true even in this situation where the rook is maybe vulnerable to a discovered attack. there's nothing good here for black. So something like this, there's knight f6. Queen enters next. It says you already have to give up the queen. If you move the king, there you go. Chop, chop, 2 pieces, supporting mate next. So what is black's try? Black ends up playing in this position. f6, f takes g6, king g7 is played. If you simply recapture, the queen gets to enter on h6. So that's why king g7 is played. Try and keep the queen out. This is a disaster. Notice, rather than queen h6, trying to swipe this pawn, there's this check issue there. So queen h6 in such a position, now what would you do as black? How do you defend g6? Queen e8, that's when you could go ahead and chop on d6. This one's over. Okay, black's tries with king g7, another pawn picked up, f5, and now the pawn promotes. This will distract one of these 2 pieces from a key square, f5 or h6. In the game, we have rook captures queen. If king captures queen, there we go. Queen can make use of h6, and you do not survive this. This is too much attacking the king. That is lacking pawn defense, piece defense. It's over. All right, how black plays it, recaptures with the rook, and after move 20, the simple rook captures f5, black resigns. White is now up a second pawn, and the attack continues. A third one is even right around the corner. So for instance, queen h4, you might see a queen exchange, check, knight takes d6 nearby. You don't have to have some immediate attack here. You're just up 2 clean pawns. So only a 20 mover, very easy, I would say, to go wrong. Going back to this earlier point, playing g6, this is a key middle game moment. If you can play 2 moves back to back, g6 and f5, things are looking good for black, but the timing is just not right. g6, f5, white is already winning. Anyhow, your thoughts with this one. Feel free as usual to leave any feedback to this video in the comment section below. Hope you enjoyed it and maybe took a thing or 2 away. That's all for now. Take care.